Hey guys, Agent Kyle here today, and we're going to talk about, in my opinion, the best handgun for the new shooter. So before we get too far into this, I just want to define some terms really fast. What I mean by new shooter is, I don't mean somebody who is purchasing their first handgun, who grew up shooting guns. I don't necessarily even mean the person who has been to the range multiple times with friends, shooting their guns, and has had several hundred, by several hundred I mean around 400 to 500 rounds of ammo through any particular one larger caliber handgun. What this video is more for is the friend who is trying to help their other friend kind of figure out what would be the best handgun for them. They are definitely a newer shooter. They've kind of started off shooting rifles, most likely a 22, something small. Maybe even at this point have delved into shooting a handgun, but again, most likely in a 22 caliber. Truly a new shooter, somebody who has had very limited experience with handguns, let alone a larger bore caliber starting at 9mm and working up. So this can be one of those things where it can be really frustrating to find something. There's a lot of stuff out there, and it can be really hard just to find your way through the mess with everything. So here are my top 3 reasons as to why this makes a great handgun for the new buyer. First and foremost is going to be size. And I know what you're thinking if you're a little bit more experienced. Well, Kyle, size is irrelevant because we all know bigger handguns are easier to shoot. Well, that's true. We know that from our experience. A larger handgun is going to be much easier to shoot. For example, this CZP-07 being much bigger is much easier to shoot. It's a little harder to conceal, but it is much, much larger. This is hot, so it's not going to be cleared. It's not staying on the table. So why does size matter at all? So let's kind of put it to you this way, and this is a great way for you to explain to your friend. We'll call it the digging a hole paradigm. We've all dug holes, most likely, and we've all know that sometimes having a bigger shovel is a little easier to do. And when I mean bigger shovel, I don't necessarily mean a larger head on the shovel, I mean a longer shovel. If you have to dig nice and deep, sometimes having the extra leverage to get down into that hole is a lot easier to do than with a smaller half-size garden shovel size. So literally, it just doesn't make sense to them why something bigger would be easier, because usually when new shooters see bigger, they think bigger gun equals bigger recoil. It's kind of like if you were to go and smack a golf ball with a driver versus a putter, the driver is bigger, so it's going to do a better job. That's how most shooters think when they think small guns versus big guns, bigger recoil. The other paradigm you can use is going to be in terms of baseball and softball. By this point, if they're a newer shooter, they're definitely old enough to buy a gun, and they've probably played softball, whether it be for a church league, school league, work league, something like that, something recreational. If we were to use a softball bat to play baseball, it's kind of hard. The softball bats are a little smaller in diameter, baseball's a little smaller, but if we switch it around, okay, if we use a baseball bat to play softball, hitting that ball becomes much easier because the force coming at you as the batter is not changing. Alright, so the force being the ball will be representative of the cartridge and the bullet coming out. That force doesn't change. What does change, though, is with a baseball bat while playing softball, the bat diameter is a full 1 inch bigger, so instead of it being, say this big, it's going to be this big. Therefore, hitting the ball is a lot easier. There's just more area to connect with it. It's the same sort of shift when we talk about handguns. A larger gun is easier to shoot because of physics. However, size, being my first reason why this is a great handgun, totally makes all this possible. It is small, so number one, it's not going to be very intimidating to the new shooter. As you see here, the gun is completely empty. There we go. So the gun's not very big, so the size is not going to intimidate them. However, it's heavy, so recoil isn't going to be too bad. You could shoot something much smaller and it still just be beating up their hand all day long. So size is a great reason why this is an excellent first handgun. We won't get too much further into that. I'll make a part 2 of this coming from the other end of why, as a shooter, this makes a great first person's handgun. So second to that is actually going to be the safety. So this is my wife's gun. This was her first handgun. And her, being the new shooter, had very limited experience. She started off with a 22 bolt action and then got into shooting the 22 pistol later on that day. She finally ended with shooting my Glock 19, and she said she liked it. So when we went to go buy her handgun, she kind of wanted to have this thing as a carry piece. So safety, even if it's not a carry piece, safety is a huge concern for a first-time shooter. They just don't understand all the safety things and the little things you can do to kind of make yourself be a little safer. So this gun is inherently very safe. First and foremost is going to be this grip safety, and that's going to attract a lot of first-time buyers. Heck, it's a great safety feature on this gun. It's so passive. So the safety is something really, really fantastic on this. Second to that is going to be the little trigger dingus right there. I think they call it their USA trigger, but that's an extra little safety. As we see here, if we try and pull from the back, it just doesn't go anywhere. So not only does the grip safety have to be depressed, you also have to intentionally squeeze the trigger. Third to that is it does have a pretty long amount of travel before you can actually get the trigger to go off. So to them, that's something a lot of first-time shooters are really going to look at and see that, whoa, that's a lot of really cool safety things inside this gun. So the third reason to that as to why this gun is an excellent first-time purchaser or new handgun owner is going to be value. And I know that value to shooters isn't necessarily something that's easily perceived. We all know that a Glock is a fantastic value. You get an incredible gun that's going to be incredibly reliable for not too much money. However, to get a Gen 4 19, they're still running today around $550. Gen 3s are running right around $5. When we picked up this handgun, we paid $550 for it. This was when the XD Mod 2 first came out, so we did pay a little bit more of a premium. Looking back, I kind of wish we would have gotten the 320 instead because it was the same price. But the wife liked the safety features of this a little more. Even she says she wishes she could go back and get the 320. Anyway, that's beside the point. The value of this gun is just absolutely incredible. Even though we paid $550 plus tax, at the time, it was a little more expensive than the regular XD was. However, not only did we get the gun as we see here, you also get the 2 magazines. So you're going to have a 13 and a 16 round mag with the sleeve extension on it. You're also going to get a nice full-size case. The case is just too big to put on camera, guys. You can always Google the images, but it comes with a nice big case that's padded on the inside. It comes with a mag carrier for both of these. It comes with a, albeit crappy, holster, but it is a holster all the same. It also comes with the lock, as we all know, the small cleaning kit, which we all know, extra fiber optic rods, and all your paperwork. Plus, there's still room to throw more mags in it. You just peel out more of the foam and you can put more magazines in that case. From a value standpoint, this gun is an excellent value for new shooters. This is something that really weighs on their mind as they go to purchase something that they're not sure they're going to absolutely love. Is it comes with a bunch of stuff, so that way, should they transition into something more, as in they shoot more with it, they've got the accessories there. So even though we know that the accessories that come with the gun aren't all that much. So, but again, value is just excellent. Moving towards the rest of the gun, once we put the mag in this, again, you get a full-size grip. So the value there is they can shoot at the range much, much easier. You get steel sights on these, and they're 3-dot variety, as we see. So in comparison to the Glock, for example, they're plastic. So steel sights, extended mag sleeve, 2 magazines. The slide on this is actually really, really easy to rack. Especially at the back over here, they kind of almost have like HK style charging handles, but they're built into the slide. So with that also, the gun is very, very reliable. So we won't get too much into the other reasons as to why for a shooter I'd recommend this gun, but as a first time new gun owner, I would highly, highly recommend the XD Mod 2. So anyway, guys, this is Agent Kyle signing out. Please like, share, subscribe, share this video with your friends who are thinking about buying their first handgun and they're non-shooters. Okay, I really recommend it. Stay tuned for part 2, and we'll talk about why as a shooter I recommend this pistol. Until then, Agent Kyle signing off.